What's up? My name is Adam Hoge, and this is Bears Mock Draft 1.0 for 2025, year 15 of me doing these. Happy to be doing it here on CHGO. And just one quick call to action for you guys. Maybe you're new to the channel because you're clicking on this for the first time. Please hit subscribe. We have Bears shows 5 days a week, all year long. So we got you covered between now and the draft. And even better than that, if you become a diehard, allchgo.com/diehard, you will get access to Fran Duffy's interactive draft guide, which is available now. You don't have to wait for it for April. It's available now and continuously updated in real time. You get to see his database as he's updating it throughout the combine, throughout free agency, throughout every step of the process. You can get that now. If you are a diehard, it's just $48 for the entire year, which pays for itself with the draft coverage alone. But you also get a free shirt, 20% off all merch, 20% off all of our events the whole year long, plus access to our Discord channel behind the scenes. It is an incredible value, so get it now. Without further ado, let's now jump into Bears Mock Draft 1.0, and we start with a big guy, Will Campbell, the left tackle from LSU, who is almost 6'6", just shy of 6'6", 319 pounds, who I believe will be an immediate starter in the NFL. He was an immediate starter as a true freshman in the SEC with 3 years of experience playing left tackle at LSU. Big, strong, and tough. He was a team captain, an outstanding athlete. When you watch his tape, he's almost never on the ground, which I love to see. Now, question on him. This will be a big one at the combine. What is his arm length? Might be just a tad short with the arm length, which means he could have to kick inside. So what would be the plan with the Bears? Well, first of all, they still got a year of Braxton Jones they got to figure out, right, at left tackle. So I love the idea of using Will Campbell as a plug-and-play starter at left guard, buying time to ride this thing out with Braxton Jones, and if needed, I'm not terribly concerned about the arm length, so I believe that Will Campbell could eventually kick out to left tackle if things don't work out with Braxton Jones. So it gives you that flexibility too. But he is somebody who could come in and play right away. Certainly he'll develop over time, but he's not somebody who you're going to be worried about playing immediately in the NFC North. So I love Will Campbell if he falls to number 10 in the first round. Now we go to the second round. Pick 39. Remember, the Bears have pick 39 from the Panthers, still from that trade a couple years ago, and then they have their own pick at 41. So almost back-to-back picks here in the second round. A lot of value to be had at number 39. I love defensive end Landon Jackson from Arkansas, 6'5". Again, almost the exact same size as Will Campbell, just almost a 6'6", 277, so a little bit lighter, but he has an ideal frame to play defensive end at the NFL level with room to add more strength too. It's not like this guy is maxed out. When you watch Landon Jackson, you see a guy whose motor is running hot on every single play. He plays with outstanding effort, 3.5 years of starting experience in the SEC, just like Will Campbell, known for being extremely competitive. The get off the line is outstanding. He's probably not the best athlete, which is why I think he'll fall into the second round. But remember when they knocked a guy named Max Crosby for those same reasons and then he fell? He reminds me a lot of Max Crosby coming out. He's just one of those players. He's an absolute dog. He's going to come after you every single snap. I think Landon Jackson's going to be very valuable for whichever team drafts him. And if the Bears can get him at number 39, I think that'd be outstanding value too. All right. Now, number 41, a little bit more of a controversial pick. And I'll admit, I don't necessarily love the idea of drafting a running back in the second round. I'd probably prefer to do it in the third. However, I think there are exceptions. We've seen exceptions like Jahmyr Gibbs even in the first round. So you got to pick and choose your time. And I do think that at number 41, if Caleb Johnson from Iowa is still available, I'm okay taking him there because I really think this guy is a 3-down back who's going to be able to start and contribute right away. I don't know if you know this. The Lions, they liked Iowa guys. And Ben Johnson benefited from drafting a running back pretty high. So I think this will be something he would be willing to do as well. Caleb Johnson, a big, one-cut, decisive runner. He's built well. He looks like an NFL running back, and he breaks a ton of tackles. If you watched Iowa football, Teams just loaded the box constantly on this guy last year, and all he did was run through it and get yards anyway. So Caleb Johnson in the second round, I would do it. Now, where we're lacking a little bit, that position I'd like to address earlier, ideally, because you can't address all of them, but that would be defensive tackle. So here in the third round at number 72, there's a guy named Darius Alexander who's coming out of the MAC, played at Toledo. He's 6'4", 310. And I think he's somebody who's going to continue to move up. So I think what might even shock me when the dust settles if he actually goes earlier than 72. But right now, I think you can get him there. 3 technique, who outplays his size, outstanding athlete, gets off the ball fast. And one of the things I really like about what he did was at the Senior Bowl, he matched the level of competition. So he's going from the MAC to the Senior Bowl, facing guys in the SEC, the Big Ten, and he was a problem all week long. So I think in the third round, Darius Alexander is somebody the Bears should definitely look at to bring in more competition and potentially play pretty quickly at that 3 technique, add to the rotation on the defensive line. Now, the Bears have 4 more picks, 5th round or later. These are all estimated numbers because the compensatory picks still have to come out. So we start at estimated 142 in the 5th round. Talk about somebody that, look, I think we all watched a lot of Colorado football last few years, right? Since Deion Sanders got there. When I would watch Colorado, yeah, you got the stars, got guys all over the field, but there was always a wide receiver that stood out to me almost every single game I watched, and that was Jimmy Horn, who is undersized at 5'10", 170, but he plays tough. He plays with the toughness. Not the best route runner in the world. He's probably a gadget player at the next level, but I love the toughness and I love his speed. So at minimum, here in the 5th round, I think this was the mistake the Bears made with Velus Jones a couple of years ago where they reached for a guy, sort of a gadgety type player. Obviously, he was a lot bigger, but that was in the 3rd round. This, in the 5th round, I can live with this. So if his route running's not outstanding, that's probably why he'll fall to the 5th round and be available here. But he's somebody that can contribute immediately as a kick returner. Outstanding kick return value here, which we've learned is now more important with the new rule. And he can be a gunner for you right away. I also think you can scheme him in certain ways to use him and get him the ball a few times every game. So watching Colorado games, Jimmy Horn always stood out to me, and I would take him in the 5th round. Now, 6th round later, we're taking flyers on guys. We're just trying to add depth. I always like doing that on the line of scrimmage, so we're going to do that with all 3 of these last picks. 6th round, 196. This is the pick the Bears are getting in the Justin Fields trade from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jack Nelson, offensive tackle, my token Wisconsin guy every single year, right? 6'6", 5'8", 310 pounds. Solid, not necessarily spectacular, but always consistent 3-year starter at Wisconsin, always known for pumping offensive linemen into the NFL. Nelson should be no different. Outstanding size, fundamentals that should translate to being a pro at the next level. I think he's a late-round depth piece that will project well as a swing tackle, which is a position I think the Bears need to address. So you can add him as a swing tackle with the upside of starting, but perhaps down the road more permanently at right tackle. Maybe not left tackle permanently, but you never know with Wisconsin offensive linemen. They tend to stick in the league for a long time. So I think that gives you value here late in the draft. Final 2 picks in the 7th round. This one's coming from the Browns. Another offensive lineman, another Jack, this time with a Boston College connection with Ryan Poles. Jack Conley, 6'7", 325, so a huge frame, more of like an offensive tackle frame, but they kicked him inside last year to guard. He played a lot better there. I think that's where he's going to have to stick in the NFL, which isn't always ideal to have somebody that big. But we've seen, even on the Bears roster, a guy like Matt Pryor, bigger frame, who has settled in as sort of a versatile guy who can move around the line, depth piece, can start in a pinch. I think that's ultimately what you're looking for, getting here with Jack Conley, who, again, we're talking depth, possible Boston College connection, and I think somebody who's got a chance to at least compete in training camp and stick on the roster. And then a guy that I'm a little surprised hasn't been projected to go higher. Now, he's probably somewhat undersized, and that's probably a big reason why. But when you turn on the tape, you watch Mizzou, Edge rusher Johnny Walker. First of all, when in doubt in the 7th round, if there's somebody named Johnny Walker available, you draft him. It's just it should be a rule. But 6'2", 5'8", 246. So again, probably a little bit lighter than you ideally want. But another player who just plays with great effort, had the production, 9.5 sacks last year, 3 forced fumbles, always made plays for a good Missouri team in the SEC. And he played through a meniscus injury in the Music City Bowl. I personally just like that. Could have sat out. He declared early. Anyway, he still played in the bowl game even though he was hurt. So I like that type of toughness. And obviously you got to monitor the meniscus too, which is another reason why he might be falling this late. But if he's available there, I am my draft with Johnny Walker from Missouri. That's Bears Mock Draft 1.0. We got more coming your way. And again, CHGO, make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, become a diehard, get Fran Duffy's draft database.
We all silly like the mayor.